Opening conversation in my brains.
All right. Rolling audio.
Our audio's rolling. Hello.
Yes, it is.
Hello, internet.
Is video up? Okay. All right, we're good.
I used to get yelled at a lot in basketball for multiple reasons, but one was
Doesn't surprise me at all.
I can see that. Yeah.
I the most create. I think I'm a creative in general. Oh, music's banging.
Wow, that is loud. I turned that off and it turned itself back on.
I think I'm a creative in general, but like in athletics, basketball in particular, like I did reach a level of expertise that you could be creative. Okay. If you suck at something, you can be creative, right? Do we all agree that? It's difficult to be truly creative if you suck at something.
I would say even the blind squirrel analogy is okay.
Like gets a nut or something?
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you can't create.
Yeah.
But it's hard to be truly creative. If you can barely dribble a basketball, you can't create a play.
For sure.
Right? And if you can barely draw, you can't create Picasso.
Well, that's up for debate.
All right, fair. So I got yelled at a lot about form through freedom or freedom through form. That was the analogy my coach yelled at me. Meaning, run the fucking play, Mike, you idiot, and then you can get creative in that play. Or I get fucking creative and don't worry, coach, I'm going to make a play.
Yeah.
Right?
The LeBron method.
Yeah, kind of. That was me. Except much shorter and less talented. So I guess the similar question applies to like culture and trends. Yeah. Right? Which one is shoving which where? And I think Jim and I were talking about it off air. But documentaries, I think, are probably hitting their stride right now. Where like 10, 20, 30 years ago, there were documentaries, and some were decent, but like the production was shit. It was like a really shitty YouTube video. Mm-hmm. The content was okay sometimes, or the story they told were okay, but people weren't watching them. Like you were
like forced to watch them like in class.
Right, and Discovery Channel was cool. You'd flip it on here and there, but you didn't like watch it. But then I feel like 2015, like Discovery Channel had some shit. You're like, damn, I'm gonna watch this. Mm-hmm. And then obviously now with Netflix is the biggest, or Hulu or whatever the heck, streaming.
What was that called? The Planet Earth.
Planet Earth.
Do you think
that was earlier? Actually, that maybe started the shit.
That's what I was just gonna say.
Maybe
is Planet Earth responsible for the cool factor of documentary?
And that's way early. When's the first one? 2008, maybe. 2007. I mean, it's a long time ago.
I was probably just out of high school.
That's what I was thinking. I was thinking college, high school for me as well. And we're about the same age. Yeah, Planet Earth was so good because it brought the cinematics, it brought the education. 2006. For the very first one. So, yeah, exactly there. I was a junior going to senior.
Same. Yeah, we're the same grade. Yeah. Both 07.
Yeah, 07. Yeah. So that makes sense. And maybe it was a big push into it. Like,
I think you're right, dude. I think you're right.
And
at least for our generation.
My argument to Jim was accessibility. Like, if you're going to Blockbuster, you're grabbing the newest, like, action flick. You're not going like, oh, this documentary seems really interesting.
You're going to that back wall.
You're not spending $5.99 in the middle of documentary. But if you're on Netflix screaming around and they have, like, a top 10, which is probably curated, it's probably not by views, bastards.
It's probably marketing. It's probably paid.
Yeah. But sometimes a really good documentary is there, and you're like, bang, bang, this is interesting. So, long story short, both of these are within the last 6 years documentaries we're watching.
For sure. The Croc is 2017, and the Caitlyn one is this year.
And something interesting I've found about documentaries is, and this is 100% just anecdotal in my brains, but what topic may be popular in the world doesn't mean that documentary will do well. Like a lot of documentaries that have done well or gotten a big push are all these like vegan ones or like Save the Fish, kind of the other ones we covered, or like Black Cove or Blackfish or whatever. Like those things got these huge uproar, and maybe because it's politically or whatever, but they didn't really. Those topics aren't talked about every day. Where these two films, I feel like these topics are very topical. Everyone's speaking about it. Every radio station, every news station, every interpersonal conversation maybe touches on it. Yet these documentaries in particular didn't like explode, I feel like, which I thought they would.
Oh, with both of them?
Yeah, both of them. Just based on like, popularity of the topic and popularity of the people.
Well, I think that particularly the Caitlyn one was
somewhat just came out, right?
Yeah, I think that was somewhat timed around this whole gubernatorial recall thing, and her being a candidate, which didn't go anywhere. She got like less than 1%
Yeah.
of the.
Was she even on the? She had to be a handwritten name on the list.
No,
right?
she was literally.
Was
on
she
the-
listed?
Yeah, she was listed on the ballot.
Interesting. I didn't remember. I don't remember seeing that.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
know.
no, it was
I don't
that-
doubt
well,
it. Did she have a book coming out too or something?
Probably.
I just imagine if you did the doc, even though Untold is a series.
I love these Untold.
Yeah, it's a series. So like, I feel like it's not as markety pushy. You know what I mean? Like
It's their 30 for 30.
yeah, right.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I heard there's a couple others that are really good. I heard.
There's another one. Yeah. Anyways,
Is it a golf one?
no, the one with the mobster that bought his kid a hockey team.
Oh yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I heard of that.
Yeah,
But
that's
I heard
nice.
there's a golf one or a golfer one.
There's-
That's
I think
supposed to be
there-
really good.
Is it out already?
I think so. Maybe this
Oh.
week.
Rob McElhenney and what's his name? Reynolds. Help me.
Bert.
No, Deadpool.
Ryan.
Ryan bought
Charades.
a soccer team.
That wasn't real. That was Ted Lasso.
No, they really did it.
I heard
You know,
Ted
they
Lasso.
really did it. It's actually going on right now. It is not just Ted Lasso.
What's that called?
What, American-
life imitating art?
American
They-
soccer team.
Welsh.
Eh,
And they're
affordable.
because you know the whole thing about like if you don't like perform at a particular level,
Yeah.
you drop out of the top
Yeah.
rank. So they're trying to take this like semi podunk now team that was in the top before and bring it back. They're filming a whole documentary series around it.
Where did Ryan Reynolds get all this damn money? He bought the Deadpool character.
No,
He owns
did he?
that.
That's
He owns
sick.
Deadpool.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't doubt it.
Yeah,
Who's he
look it
married
up.
to? Someone famous, right?
Blake
so.
Lively.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's some combined money.
He owns the rights to Deadpool.
He's done a lot of
bought
like
it.
big time movies,
That's true. He's been
and he's
doing
been
it.
around forever.
You're right. Yeah.
He did
He's
all those
probably made some good
rom-coms.
investments.
Yeah, yeah. And who knows what a Welsh. That's why I brought up jokingly American, because like Shaq, although partial owner, he owned part of the Kings.
Now Reebok.
Yeah, and like NBA, NFL, MLB is way more expensive than like a podunk Welsh team.
For sure.
But
For
then a real team like Barcelona or something, that's probably worth.
That's a tough.
Yeah, $10 million.
That's like probably
Billion.
the most. I think Man U or Barcelona is like the most
I'm sure.
expensive
I'm
sports
sure.
franchise.
I'm sure.
One of
Because
those?
Good chance,
I don't
yeah.
know how the money works or the ownership, but those franchises have every team. Barcelona's famous for their soccer, but there's a Barca basketball team. It's the same league, same team.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and
I did not know that.
Yeah, majority of them.
Huh,
Man U, same
interesting.
thing.
I'm sure
basketball
that
team.
like Man U probably sells $1 billion annually in just
Jersey.
just
Oh
jerseys.
yeah. How their system seems so smart to me. Like I like the idea of our farm team, AAA, whatever. But why not just have a shit ton of teams? Yeah, and you go by record. And if your record's good enough, you go up to the A League, and then bottom two go down, bottom two go up every season.
Yes,
I like
And-
that.
And well, here's what it would do in my mind: it would keep you from having sort of slumlord team owners.
Yeah, yeah. The other thing I like is that
because there's so much more at stake.
right,
you
and
know?
there probably is slumlords over there too in those smaller franchises.
Right.
But I also like that every team's the same. We have a Sacramento Kings basketball, Sacramento Kings baseball, Sacramento Kings football.
That used to be before franchises started moving
really?
around. Yeah, because the Kings they were the Royals and when they were in
Yeah.
Kansas City, and then they became the Kings, and then
True.
and then they moved here, and they're the Kings, and
Yeah.
you know, whatever.
But like I said, like Barca has a basketball team. It just makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Here we're just so like spread capitalistic, even though over there it's capitalistic as well.
The team itself's not really the priority. It's what can this team generate for me in sales of merchandise and concessions.
And market cap and stuff like that might have to do with it more in our sports like football and basketball. Where over there there's no market cap on soccer.
I think all the money's made in like concessions too, like at these
Per
events.
team? Yeah, probably.
Like they all their profits, or not all their profits, but the majority of their profits come from the food and drink.
And like big sponsor, because there's
Yeah.
probably a Budweiser symbol sign somewhere.
and TV rights and stuff like that.
Yeah, but that's the issue with being smaller.
yeah,
Market
right.
team, yeah.
Right.
We ain't getting shit on TV.
No, that's typically true.
So yeah, I guess long story short, I was talking about does our world want to, because the trends in movies happen with other shit. Like 2012, all there is like Hunger Games Divergent and these like fantasy.
Yeah, it runs in cycles, and now all we have is Marvel
zombies.
movies.
I don't even know if it's Marvel right now. Marvel's still big. Marvel's been hot. That's like almost their own world. Like it's hard to argue with Marvel because they've been killing it. I don't know what's right
Iron
now.
Man. Iron Man was like the first one.
2007 or 6 also.
Yeah. So like
8?
2008.
Yeah, and people didn't even know what was coming, obviously.
Yeah.
And that movie made some ripples, but nothing crazy.
13 years they kind of dominated the
Superheroes been
movie
been a thing every decade since the fucking 60s, right? Like there's a Batman of every decade. There's a fucking
but it's kind of
Superman every other decade.
It was kind of DC focused.
It was for
There
sure.
was a big shift.
The Marvel
was probably that 2000
for sure.
2008.
But in terms of movies, I don't know what's big right now because our movie system got so fucked for 2 years.
Like what style of movie? I think it's still that like action.
Yeah, action.
Like low thought action movie, like the John Wicks.
Comedy's dead. John Wick's, maybe.
Comedy doesn't even exist anymore, does it? Like what movie comedy movies
Can't think of a good one.
They all go to streamers now.
Yeah, can't think of a good one.
They can do them on a smaller budget, and they live forever.
And then all the thrillers and dramas, like those are all going to Netflix too.
Or their series.
Like look at any Leonardo DiCaprio movie coming out anytime soon. They're going straight to Netflix.
I do think documentaries are kind of hitting their stride, but I do wonder if it's the world because everyone's so sketched out by the media lying. People maybe think that documentaries are telling the truth. We talked about that in our other episodes when we covered documentaries, how it's just as easily, maybe even more so, biased.
Well, they can do a lot more with like music and other things, like to make you feel a certain way.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. CNN is
emotionally can really pull you in.
The soundtrack in a documentary is much heart tugging than CNN's soundtrack. I do agree with that
for sure.
But then I guess the other question is, does culture want to learn more, and that's why documentaries are cool now, or did Hollywood think documentaries would hit and we're just following their ploy?
I think it's probably as simple as like just the readily available content on streaming services.
Yeah,
like they need to fill
gaps,
and it's just like easy to do, easier.
It's probably lower budget.
Yeah,
in the scheme of things, right? Because you're not paying Ryan Reynolds,
but
you're not paying the Deadpool license.
Yeah, and I think that we spent a whole episode talking about algorithms, and that suggestion algorithm I think is what's making it work.
Yeah, that
in like Netflix now. I don't know if it's really just Netflix or if it's the fact that I have a Fire Stick or whatever, so I'm accessing it through that. I don't know what, but like sometimes when you click on something to see the trailer, it just starts.
Yeah. I have.
It fades out the
I think they both do that.
The interface, and it just goes into whatever.
Yeah.
And suddenly, if you watch a couple minutes of it, you like it, you're probably going to keep watching it.
Yeah, I noticed when they started doing that, I was like, oh, this is interesting.
Yeah.
Which is I actually kind of like that. I thought it was a cool little feature. You don't even realize that you're watching it.
Yeah.
All of a sudden it started.
Yeah, I had finished up one of the docs, and then I was clicking to the other one, and last night, and then we're breaking for dinner, and so like it's starting. It's like, hang on, that's not what I intended to do.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know if we just dig in. My first blanket take. Is that
going over both at the same time, or just one at a time?
We're gonna try to do we're doing a marathon podcast today.
Yeah. I meant like a.
we can compare and contrast.
Yeah, I meant like it's like as far as like
wherever it takes you. Yeah, wherever it takes you.
You want it?
Right. Yeah, I got no plan. We can go one at a time.
We can go one at a time.
We can go blanket, then we'll go one at a time.
All right, that's fine.
So my blanket is that, and we were joking last week when we were just hanging out, all three of us about how different these documentaries were going to be. And I was joking based on one being a fucking Kardashian.
Yeah.
Right. And you're like, all right, well, one's a meathead, a friend of ours.
Yeah, we're talking about Transformer with Janae Kroczaleski.
Yeah.
And Untold, Caitlyn Jenner, which is a part of a Netflix series.
And so I jokingly, non-jokingly was like, well, one's going to be selling us a book, one's a Kardashian, and whether the decisions Caitlyn made in her life or not are also that marketing book. This is different, where at least fitness professionally, although Janae, Matt, was not a fitness professional really, right? Is a pharmacist and like a chemical engineer. But Matt, Janae's fitness career, the peak was already gone. So like what I'm saying, and he was outed.
Oh yeah,
was another reason. So I'm like, all right, well these are like different. These are different biases within a documentary.
Was that that video that they showed in the documentary? Was that the the video of the guy outing Janae?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Louis Marco's his name.
Did the guy say that he came across Janae's Instagram page?
Which was a public Instagram, but
So,
yes.
Okay. Now my question
Yeah.
is, I guess to you guys, is that really outing somebody that's
true.
putting the information out there?
That's true. That's a good start. So my blanket statement is that I thought these were going to be very different based on biases,
Yeah,
and
sorry,
that the story. No, you're good. The story was more similar than not.
It was
Eerily, the same documentary happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, the difference being compare and contrast to
Yeah.
the same. Here's my film studies paper that the Caitlyn one was athletic career, and then the last 10 or 15 minutes was transgender.
Yeah.
There was a thread of transgender through it, but it wasn't really
It was more Caitlyn or Bruce's timeline.
right.
There was a
right.
very obvious pivot point in the documentary, hard pivot in
Right.
the subject.
Whereas Janae, it was the whole documentary was constructed to tell a story.
It was more of a transgender documentary.
It was more of a transgender
100%.
documentary.
Yeah, I agree. So the outing happened. So, ladies and gentlemen, Matt, Janae Kroc, and we use both because, as far as we know in the personal life, Matt and Janae both coexist.
Yeah,
So again,
gender fluid.
Yeah, as much
non-binary.
as we can, we're going to be is kind. We mean no harm. We may misspeak. All this is live recorded, and so yes, our opinions are our own, but we also might just misspeak.
Yeah, we might accidentally blow the pronouns.
Who
folks.
knows?
We're trying
Who
not
knows?
to, but we might.
And when we, as much as we can, which I actually kind of like, both of them do in the documentary, almost talking third person.
About
Yeah, especially Caitlyn, but even Janae a little bit
the male identity.
Yeah, and they talk third person about the identity or the persona, which is interesting.
With Caitlyn, it felt very past tense.
Right, like
Where with,
close that chapter.
With Janae, it felt kind of like this is currently going on.
Yeah, which as far as we know, even in the personal life, that is it, and that is the story of Matt Kroc. Is that within the inner world, as far as we know, it's not like he was keeping his identity that secretive, which goes to your question. Like, he had an Instagram public, Matt Kroczaleski, and also Janae Kroc, Janae
And
Marie.
the reason why I asked that in the first place, not to doubt
Right.
what's being said or what happened. I know you guys know, Janae on a personal level.
Yeah.
And I don't know if there's more to that.
I don't know.
That I didn't see in this documentary, because the documentary didn't make it seem like that was the case.
Yeah.
And I just want to get more information.
I think, as far as I know, Matt, Janae was like the first athlete that this became really public. And that's what is kind of crazy about the documentary, is you hear about, and Matt Kroc was the first powerlifter I knew by name.
Yeah,
Because, and he mentioned it in the story, that he was signed by a big company, and we'll call him out, it was Muscle Tech. Muscle Tech signed Matt when they only signed Ronnie Coleman types.
Yeah,
They only signed Ronnie
That's
Coleman.
the blue and yellow.
Yeah, it's bright blue.
Yeah.
They didn't sign even bikini girls. They didn't even sign hot chicks, and they didn't even sign pro athletes. You had to be on the Olympia stage, and you maybe got some cash. And Matt was one of the first ones to do that. And purely based on a YouTube video by a drama YouTube, he lost his sponsorship, which I do think she lost her sponsorship. I think that's insane. And we're talking what, 2014, 15? So
15.
I have no time reference of when this stuff was going
Yeah,
down,
so that's about
because I only know when the documentary was made.
Right.
It was 2017.
Right. Yeah, published.
They filmed for a while.
Okay.
Yeah, when was our
Okay.
podcast with Janae?
15.
15.
Okay.
So I think the
That
outing
helps.
probably, and I think maybe I'm wrong, but I think it was wintery, so I think it might have crossed a year. But 2014, 15 is when the
Got it.
YouTube, and I think I agree with you in some senses, like. But I would imagine if I'm Matt or Janae, you're not keeping things quiet because you're like ashamed.
Mhm.
You're keeping things. I mean, you're confused probably. I would imagine. What the fuck do I know? But you're keeping it quiet because the world's not ready. And so, like, yeah, you have a public Instagram because that's who you are, but you're not like running ads on it. You know what I mean? And you're not
sure.
like actively trying to grow it. Maybe kind of. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Social media does add a wrinkle to everything.
And at the end of
yeah.
the day, that's their decision to.
I think
Right, who you're following or who
Yeah.
you allow to, who you're interacting with via, rather than building a YouTube video, really announcing it to the world.
Yeah, for sure.
I feel like, this might be validated by if you were to go back and listen to the whole podcast that we did with Janae back in 2015. I think that she was kind of trying on the public version of Janae over time, and that I think the Instagram was part of that.
Instagram's probably a dipping your toe in it versus like a full YouTube video versus going to the Arnold dressed as Janae.
And I know that part of that conversation, I think part of that, or was just something that I knew going into it, I'm not 100% sure, but would like get, dressed as Janae and then go to another town.
Sure. Yeah.
To go to a bar or a club or whatever, just to be able to be in that.
Doesn't Matt tell a story like that in the documentary too, where he feels like he almost got found out?
No, that was Caitlyn.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah. There's similarities.
The stories are so similar.
They're very similar. The big thing, another overview kind of thing, is the generational thing.
Yeah. Because they're probably similar age. No. Matt's probably a little younger.
No, Matt's a lot younger.
No, yeah, because
Caitlyn's 70.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
She looks great.
70? Had a lot of work done.
A lot of money.
Matt's, I think, still in his 40s.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
All right. That is a big generation.
He was 42 or 43 in whenever they filmed it. So
Kim Kardashian's
older than us, huh?
Janae's age.
Oh.
40, right?
Yeah, probably.
Pretty sure Kim's like 40.
That's why.
Well, think about that.
I guess just because I was really learning how to lift when I'm 18, and I just assumed Matt was 40s then. Because a lot of powerlifters at that time weren't in their 30s; they're kind of in their 40s.
Well, looking back at Bruce, when he was 26.
26 was the Olympics.
He looked like a 35, 40-year-old man.
Yeah, he was jacked. Yeah, that's so weird.
I don't know exactly which one we're going to go with first.
Yeah,
but
it doesn't matter. We can sprinkle.
Talking about Bruce Jenner though, like I was a kid when that happened, and I remember that there was a lot of hype about the possibility of Bruce winning the gold medal for the decathlon, and at some point it really did become a foregone conclusion. I think there's a little bit more of a question in the way that's presented in the documentary that
that he's going to win
being. Yeah, I remember it.
That was my critique too. Yeah, I guess we are bouncing back and forth. My critique of Bruce was I feel like everyone plays down their talent and they always want to lean on hard work. Like one of the first sentences or something was like, I was below average. Like you weren't, dude.
Yeah.
Like there's no fucking
have the genetics
way.
for it.
Yeah, you did. Like maybe you didn't work hard.
I saw his body type. He was very genetically gifted.
Well, and like maybe you didn't work hard and then you learned to really work hard. Maybe your work ethic is actually the word you're trying to use. My work ethic and my drive was below average, and I turned that around. But like you don't go below average genetics are winning a gold medal. Ever.
Or running a 10-9-100.
It's not happening. Any sport anywhere, no below average, even back in the fucking Coliseum, no below average is winning. That doesn't work. And people hate to do that because it's like it's attack on we tend to make our genetics not us. You know what I mean? We separate that
thing.
Yeah, we're like, no, Mike, my soul, my spirit of Mike worked hard, not Mike this canvas, and so then they feel insulted to say, because I've talked about it on this podcast many times. One of my most controversial tweets was simply saying that talent beats hard work, and people get so mad about that. I'm like, bitch, it's just true. Powerlifting to skeet shooting to the decathlon, the freakiest of the freaks. There's guys in the NBA that don't work out.
Yeah,
at all.
I worked my tits to the gill, and I'm a 5'8" Mario clone Italian kid, and it didn't happen. It just didn't happen. And and I am above average genetics. I was a good athlete. I grabbed the basketball rim in 7th grade.
Look at John Daly.
Yeah.
Give me that argument.
Yeah. 100%. Not that
the eye-hand coordination there
is God-given.
Or even like the clutchness, like he's performing in front of millions of eyes.
Yeah.
Not that you just don't have to work hard. You have to be exposed to your talent. You can't be a really good golfer genetically and never touch a golf club. You have to touch a golf club. You have to have the exposure. But it just doesn't work that way. And Bruce played that way down in the beginning.
Yeah.
And I understand how it's part of your story too. We all build our story of our life based on our own perception of what we lived. And so his story was very similar to Croc's, where early age seemed to know something was wrong. Something was different. And I say wrong based on his take.
That's a quote.
Yeah.
He
Something
said
was off.
He said
Yeah.
body dysmorphia or gender dysmorphia, which is funny because when I hear quote unquote professionals, I don't know who's a real professional in psychology versus sociology versus human evolution. Often the argument nowadays with transgender is one is these people are mentally sick. They have gender dysphoria.
Uh-huh.
And one is no, these are just a type of is a type of spirit in the wrong canvas, to use my own reference, being born. One was like this wasn't supposed to be this way and this just happened, and one is this is a mental illness. And that's I think the main argument.
That's where my knowledge of it was
Yeah.
as well. I'm with you 100%. And when she said that, I was a little confused. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
I thought those were like both sides of the coin on the argument of what's going on.
Politically and scientifically,
Yeah.
that is the argument I hear as well.
Well,
And he kind of just admitted to it in a way.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
I don't know
I
either.
guess.
I don't know either. I don't know enough-ish.
I think some of that is I think that Caitlyn existed outside of the mainstream of transgender thought.
Yeah. Even nowadays,
and
right?
still
When we're talking about
does.
running for government,
It still does. Yeah, like
typically
like-
you would think she would be a liberal or a Democrat, and she's running as a right-winger.
or at least be okay with gay marriage, but apparently not.
Yeah, she's not, right?
Yeah, apparently not.
Well, she's
Like,
very in touch with the religion
Yeah.
side of
Yeah.
life.
It is an
She's
interesting
very
thing.
religious.
Yeah, it's an interesting...
She said that was her biggest, one of her biggest holds on the whole process.
Her own process.
Was the religious side of it. And
Yeah.
like, what does that mean for her in the afterlife?
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah,
dealing with that.
Both their upbringings seemed that they were leaning into a macho thing, whether it was personally to hide that or to escape whatever they felt on the inside, or to fit in more. And Matt in particular talks about it directly,
yeah.
but Caitlyn talks about it indirectly. But he basically said, like, yeah, I went to the Marines to be a macho, and I was just a fucking macho
Yeah.
forever. You
Yeah,
know,
I
like
was a meathead.
I obviously got jacked as fuck. But then later, too, Janae, Matt often talks about, like, liking that. Like, feeling both parts.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You know, like, I like...
that gym session.
Yeah.
Kind of broing out.
I like muscle, and I don't mind kind of being, a woman with 220 pounds of muscle.
The training partner who said there's too much Matt for Janae to ever be like basically a girly girl, a classic.
Yeah.
100. I think they said 120 pound.
Yeah, girly girl.
Yeah.
Girly girl, even just in itself, right? Like, what I do like about Janae's story and documentary is that all this is new. Not that transgender's new. Maybe they've been around.
It's really not.
But like how you speak of it and how we're judged to speak of it is so new, and that comes across in that documentary.
Well, even the fact that we're even, to be fair, Mike,
yeah,
is and Jim here, like the fact that we're even watching these and discussing
right
is so new.
Right? No, it's brand
as a
new.
whole. Like we're spending 2 hours of our free time learning about this.
Yeah,
we wouldn't. None of us would have been. I mean, I'm speaking on myself.
No, you're right.
I would not have done this.
No one was in the
10
70s.
years ago.
Yeah.
And you're not convincing me to watch or learn about any of this stuff.
Yeah.
To me, it's just like, oh, it's not. That has nothing to do with me. I don't really care or whatever.
Right.
But like, it's now that I've matured and I've grown up, obviously, like, and I'm interested in these things, and it's just like now, like you're saying, exactly.
Yeah, and that documentary kind of showed that, because like I feel like one side of the coin, like the term "girly girl" is kind of offensive.
Yeah.
Right.
No,
and so like for that to be in the documentary describing like a human, you know what I mean? Like that side of the coin would be offended by that.
I don't know, 2017 or 15, maybe you could still say girly girl.
Yeah, but now you
that's
can't.
Kind of a newer,
oh, that's true.
That's a newer drop.
But to describe like, right, because then we have like gender and sex and all these different things. And I joke about it in a JK we were just coming up about gender reveals. I was like, there shouldn't be such thing as a gender reveal with a baby that's not born.
No, I would agree with you on
It would be
that.
a sex reveal.
Right.
Right?
Right. Yeah. Because the difference between sex and gender is sex is controlled by chromosomes.
One's between my thighs, and one is
between your ears.
Is my spirit, hopefully, yeah.
They call it a assigned gender at birth,
right,
quote unquote.
That's what all this kind of, I do like the croc one, because it feels like authentic. Like they don't know either. Like like they don't know. Girly girl, 120 pounds. Can you be 220? I like to lift weights. I like to be muscular. I kind of like wearing army fatigues, and then I like this. It just feels some authentic, very authentic conversations come through there. Where Bruce's or Caitlyn's is very polished, which you would imagine one is a Netflix thing and one is maybe even the
self-funded, I guess, right? Or
Yeah.
Who put that together?
It was a Canadian film director.
Independent film director.
Independent.
also though based on the results.
And Janae is a executive producer or producer on
Yeah.
that doc.
Based even on the final decision, right? Who went through more surgeries? I guess I mean by that.
And I don't think we know that.
No, but Caitlyn's seemed to be going full time. Caitlyn, and as
Yeah.
much as we know, Janae's, at least current times, what we thought was kind of rocking.
Yeah, I don't, without getting too far off of the beam of the movie, I know that Janae competed as a man in a jiu-jitsu tournament in July.
Post-movie.
In July,
Right,
this
this
year.
year.
Yeah.
So
And hasn't really posted again since then, so I don't really know. I don't know
Yeah,
what's
what's
currently up with Janae. I know that Janae opened a gym in Michigan. I think that Dr. Mike actually works out there.
oh, Israel?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Oh, maybe.
I think
Israel's
so.
in like Philadelphia.
Oh, really? Well,
Yeah,
because
but maybe he's visited.
Well, all I can tell you is that it will say Croc's Gym as the location of
Gotcha.
his
Yeah,
his Instagram.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah,
And
he's
it
been
kind of looks like the same place, but I don't know.
Yeah, I'm sure he's been there.
He's got a nice big gym with a lot of elite FTS equipment. And backing up what you were saying, that like a lot of us knew what was going on with Matt / Janae. I didn't know the name. I didn't know the name Janae. I just knew that there was more going on there, and there was a sexual identity question.
Mm-hmm.
And the people at Elite knew, that Dave Tate knew,
Yeah,
from,
which was another one of
from
his
early
sponsors.
on. And I mean, that's indirectly how I found out about it. But I also went to do I used to do this kind of like best question you ever ask, or anybody ever ask you, or something like that. I don't remember exactly what the deal was.
Quick hit interview.
Yeah, quick hit interview, and I did one with, at the time, Matt at the Arnold, and there had been some facial surgery already at that point, and it was since the last time I had seen Matt. I was like, "Whoo, okay, well that's different. That's really different than what I've seen before." And that reinforces the things that I have heard. I just don't know. I don't know what the end game is at that point. But there was such a strong acceptance among the people who already knew.
Which you would think would be the exact opposite crowd.
You would think that.
Stereotypically, powerlifting at the time.
Very macho.
Yeah, wearing Caterpillar boots. They're all construction cats. Everyone's 400 pounds.
But is that macho-ness all stemming from like lots of insecurity?
For sure.
And lots of exogenous testosterone.
For sure. But even like politically speaking, like very Midwest, very very different than powerlifting scope is so big now.
Yeah.
Some of the meccas of powerlifting is now California. It used to not be.
And they only showed it a little bit, but there was the whole thing with the nail. You saw that in the...
Oh, yeah, like pulled a nail out of his bicep or something?
Yeah.
I flinched a lot. I used to
heard about that, but before this
I thought it was
video,
a
I'd never
needle,
seen it.
maybe. I used to not be much of a flincher, but there's a lot of like random like the surgery scene. Didn't watch that.
I didn't like that.
Yeah, I didn't watch that.
No, that was like graphic.
Yeah,
That was a
graphic.
lot.
Yeah, I didn't like the needle or whatever the hell was getting pulled out of
I was
his
not
arm.
ready for that surgery scene.
No, that was a lot. That was more than like any surgery I've ever seen.
I've seen that's one of the more graphic ones.
Yeah,
It's
I
just
didn't like that.
Okay, we're going straight here.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
Well,
I can't really do any of that anymore. I think I'm getting softer.
there
I
was
don't
there
like
was
it.
originally a surgery scene in Bigger, Stronger, Faster that was cut.
Yeah. Oh. I understand a quick cut of like a surgery to set the tone of what happened, but like that was long
There was like going across the whole
and very
forehead.
graphic.
It was super.
What are you
yeah.
telling as a director? I don't need to see all that. I understand the surgery. Are
I
they
think
showing
that
the
you're-
sacrifice of the surgery?
I think it was the lengths to which I think actually
Yeah.
you could equate it to the whole the
yeah. Ugh.
the nail going into the bicep thing. It's like to what extent are you willing to go
Yeah.
to confirm your identity, whatever that might be?
Yeah.
And like nobody was more macho meathead, but at the same time, like we all knew that Matt was, a very smart person.
Even being like a pharmaceutical engineer, I feel is like a different breed than the typical powerlifter at the time.
He was very playful with the children.
Yeah,
Like,
kind.
Super good relationship with the kids.
Yeah. Well, that is something I forgot too, is that he said he had kind of told his kids at ages like 4, 6, and 8 or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you're like, whoa, like that's a tough conversation to have and tough for a kid to comprehend.
And that's where Caitlyn / Bruce, like when they were
The opposite.
like that's when he was struggling, like when they were struggling to go back and forth. Never told the kids,
right?
And that's where a lot of his regrets and her regrets.
And I don't know current, but I do remember semi-recent that like the Kardashian kids, all the kids don't really talk to Caitlyn.
Besides the son in the
what son was that?
I think that was his first son.
That's the only son that gets no TV time because the other sons are famous, right?
He's on a farm.
The other 2 sons are famous that are just his.
One of them's really famous, Brody from the Hills, Laguna Beach, and all that stuff. He's really famous.
Those guys are really famous.
Yeah, he's really famous. And they don't. I know they don't talk.
Just from being Bruce's kid.
Yeah, well, he got his own fame from that show. I mean,
right,
the show was
but
like on top of the world.
But how do you get on the show? Being a rich kid in the hills and being Bruce's kid, right?
Yeah, I don't. I think it was just
random.
He's a handsome guy. Got casted for the,
maybe
casted for the show.
Because going back to
there is that probably didn't hurt.
Yeah, going back to that, like I didn't know Bruce was that big of a deal when I watched early seasons of Kardashians, and obviously very generational. But
I had no reference to who he was.
And then even that, when I heard the reference of it, I didn't know, and maybe still, I didn't know. Even now, like name Olympians that are stars: Michael Phelps, Simone Biles.
Yeah.
In my generation.
Yeah,
like that are
Michael Johnson was like the 100 guy. When
but that
we
are
were younger.
fucking stars.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The Phelps. Like you said,
right?
Yeah.
Like it's not that many. It's rare. It's very far and few between that can take the stardom past those 6 weeks of the Olympics.
I have the total flip side experience because I knew Bruce from the Olympics and from some very dubious entertainment choices.
He did some acting.
Was in the movie Can't Stop the Music with the Village People.
All right.
Directed by.
Is there something there? Is the Village People just a meme for the gay community?
No, the Village People was a real disco group in the 70s.
No, I mean the queer part.
Oh no, the queer part is like that's a given. I think
they're gay.
Not all of them, but some of them.
Yes, I didn't know that. I thought it was just a meme because they dressed up as Indians.
You thought it was all like campy, tongue-in-cheek YMCA.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, and in the Navy and all that stuff. Yes, and.
Yeah.
Yes,
and there's some roots.
Yeah, but so he was in this movie and it was terrible and it was a giant bomb and he did some other you saw him on all the talk shows and all that stuff. I
did
remember
the
all
whole
that.
round with the Carson and all those guys.
Yeah, yeah. Fucking Dinah Shore.
That kind of makes sense for the Olympics.
The Wheaties.
Yeah, the Wheaties box I knew about.
It was he was doing some kind of PSA with kids in track and field.
Right. Even Jenner though, right? Like her husband was OJ's best friend and lawyer. Right?
Who?
Jenner? Chris?
Oh, Chris
Kardashian, sorry.
Yeah. Her husband was OJ's defense attorney.
Right. And really good friend.
Best friend.
Yeah.
And best
so
friend.
Even
from
that
the 60s best friend.
Even that is an obscure way to become at a show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? So in my head
grown up Gotti or something.
Yeah, in my head Bruce was that obscure.
I had no idea he was on that show. I didn't watch that show.
Yeah.
I've seen one episode of it. Once I knew that Bruce was part of the family, I watched an episode in which it was painful. It was super painful to watch because he was so awkward.
Yeah, he doesn't come across great in that show.
Bruce was super awkward through the whole thing, and nobody knew how to deal with him. They treated him kind of like a crazy aunt.
Oh yeah,
you know,
yeah, kind of.
Which was I couldn't keep watching.
Yeah, he was.
You're right. They did.
He did feel like an extended family.
It was strange.
And so I had no idea any of that stuff was going on. I remember the OJ stuff, and the only place I'd ever heard the name Kardashian was from the trial.
Yeah. How did he pass? Cancer?
I think
Something normal?
I think
Yeah.
he had cancer. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like shooting or.
But-
That's what
No,
I meant
no,
by
no.
normal.
But he had.
OJ didn't get him too.
yeah.
Yeah. He and
OJ's a whole. We could do a whole podcast on OJ.
Yeah,
You seen him on
seriously.
Twitter?
Oh my god.
The best.
Dude. Dude.
he and
Dude.
Robert Kardashian and Chris had divorced years before
Yeah.
the OJ thing.
Yeah.
And they had all those kids.
Well, who's?
And I can't keep them all straight.
Yeah. How many kids does Bruce have?
Kylie and Caitlyn.
Non.
I'm sorry, Kylie and Kendall.
Non Kardashian.
And
Well, it'd be Chloe, Kim.
No. I mean, like, so there's that one random farm kid that's in the documentary.
How many?
Bert.
I think he has the two
sons
and 2 girls.
yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
The farm
Oh, so it's just Brody and then Farm Boy.
Brody farm boy.
I thought there's maybe one more.
Is there 3
Like a
brothers?
good-looking dude too that's semi-famous.
Oh, maybe then.
I don't know.
And I don't
I'm
know
gonna
if
look
that's
this up
from
'cause I don't
that
really
random
know.
lady.
I was one thing that really surprised me, obviously, but I also had no reference or had no information on Bruce at all.
Yeah.
But like I was kind of shocked to hear that this was something that he was looking into doing in the mid 80s.
Oh,
Was like going through the transition process.
Oh, yeah,
in
yeah.
84.
yeah. How crazy is that?
Like-
No info. Probably surgery's way behind.
Yeah, that was very interesting when they brought that up because I thought maybe that was just something he did.
Brandon. Oh, he's a Jenner. They're all Jenners.
Yeah. Oh,
Cassandra Marino.
I don't know that one.
Out
at
of left
all.
field. Yeah. See the Brandon. Brandon looks like another. He might even like had a little cameo on OC or The Hills or something. You know.
Probably.
He looks the same. Are they? Do they have the same mom? I
I-
guess was the other.
I don't
Or is
know.
there a lady in between that they didn't mention in this doc?
Well-
he was married twice.
As far as I know, he's only married twice.
I don't want to break it to both of you, but you can have kids without marriage.
Okay.
They have. Okay. This is crazy. So he had 2 kids with the first wife.
Brody or that girl?
No, he had
No,
Bert.
Bert.
Yeah.
And then Cassandra.
Okay. Yeah. Never. No one's ever heard of it. How?
Cassandra doesn't even exist
No,
according to this document.
No,
Yeah.
according to neither to the
Neither did-
Kardashians
yeah,
or
neither
the
did.
Hills.
Well,
Yeah.
we can get into another thing that does not exist in this documentary later on.
Yeah,
That
Cassandra's not a
blew my
thing.
mind. And then he married Linda Thompson.
Oh, so
They
3
had 2
marriages.
sons. So Brandon and Brody are from Linda Thompson.
Is she famous?
She was an actress.
Do you know her or no?
I don't know her.
No.
No.
Well,
And-
this subject here was never brought up in the
No,
documentary.
it's totally skipped over. And then he married Kris Kardashian.
Oh, him
And
killing
had-
someone?
That's what I'm talking about right here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kendall and Kylie. So he's got.
I was
1,
just
2,
talking about the car accident, and I was like I'm pretty with pop culture and like trendy. I'm pretty on it. Like I feel like that was a one-day story.
It wasn't a one-day story, but it was in December of 2015. Prosecutors declined to file charges. It was Jenner's SUV ran
settled.
into Howe's car.
Yeah, of course, right?
Accounts of the sequence of collisions have varied, as have the number of people injured. So there is literally nothing about that in any part of the documentary at all.
But then again, though, did it really need it? Was that really part of this?
No, the untold story.
So I don't know what part of it was untold.
It's funny. There wasn't a clear direction of like, was this about the achievement of sport,
I was gonna say
or was this about the internal struggle?
it felt more like an ESPN story, and then just sprinkled in that Caitlyn's here
because
now.
all the other ones that we watched with the same subject, same
Yeah.
format, were very sports focused.
Yeah.
Exclusively, right?
I almost yeah.
A little bit of outside life.
Yeah.
Like post
Right.
thing. I don't know.
Yeah, this one because they're not. Neither one is very long. They're about an hour each. I feel like they did sprinkle. Caitlyn's untold story doesn't have much of a story, right? Like it's a little bit of Olympics, but
Yeah.
not much about growing up.
Yeah.
And then boom, like a sprinkle of Kardashian, sprinkle of Caitlyn, and then you know what I mean? Like there's no like.
The most
This led to this, and then because of this car accident, or because of that, or because of the Olympics, I didn't know what to do, so I acted like it's very sprinkly.
This seems like a really good spot to say we're going to end this episode, and for the next
Part
episode,
2.
we're going to talk about like what the hell was supposed to be untold here, and the other connection between these 2 documentaries.
Shout it out, ladies and gentlemen. Every Wednesday, I'm Silent Mike, 3sb.co. Where can people find you?
Find me at deansidorus.ck or, at caffeineandkilos.com.
I am at the Jim McD on all those social medias. This show is 50% facts, where percent is a word and 50 is just numbers. And you can catch this next episode next week. And we're back. So we've been talking about Untold, Caitlyn Jenner, and Transformer with Janae Kroc.
I said Transformers and someone bit my head off.
Yeah, it's
one letter.
It's
like on a post.
No, probably the Bart or somebody just yelled at me. I don't know.
Now, Janae is in cars, but the cars don't transform into anything.
No, that's
They're
a
not
sick Camaro.
robots.
That's a sick Camaro.
It's really sick. Camaro has its own Instagram.
Both of them really into cars.
Yeah.
Both stars of the documentary.
Yeah, but it's slightly differently. Like Janae is like checking the cylinders and all this shit.
Well,
Janae's a wrench.
Yeah,
well,
right.
I think so. I mean, Bruce raced cars though. Like he
oh,
was
really?
really
Then he might have been
a driver.
He was a driver, but they usually are pretty involved with.
Yeah,
like,
they would
the
know.
building and tuning. Like, he was a full blown.
Yeah, he's not just a celebrity head
racing
buying.
professionally or amateurly.
I didn't. Yeah,
He was really into
True.
it.
He was beyond a gentleman driver. Who
True.
has a car or whatever. He was actually. But you think about the reflexes involved.
Yeah,
in
this is an athlete. Yeah,
and
stamina.
this sort of broad set of skills that you have to win a decathlon.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all, you got to throw and you got to run.
I'm actually surprised how the decathlon's not very, not that it's not
I
popular
was
right
gonna
now,
talk about that.
but it
I was
should
gonna
be
talk about
probably more popular.
I was really stoked on it. Like I would have loved to have been a part of that in real time. That seemed like it was a big deal.
I watched a mini doc on maybe 10 years ago, the American athlete, I forgot his name, like a little ESPN doc. And it is cool how they train and the variety of things they're good at.
I don't even know who won or when that even aired this year. Do they still do it?
Yeah, they do it, but I don't know why. I don't know why it's not popular.
No one cares at all. I don't think.
They tried years later to do that Dan and Dave thing. They did it with a shoe company. It was two guys that might have had been rivals for the decathlon from America. And one of them faded really fast, and I don't remember what happened with the other one. I don't think he won.
Yeah,
though.
Yeah, I mean, this year, the Olympics in general, I feel like flopped.
Yeah, it was.
I participated a little bit, but not much.
For many reasons.
Yeah, for a lot of reasons. It was not having a crowd made it hard.
It's hard. I was just talking to some, I don't know, I think I was checking out at some store or something over the weekend, and kids freaking out over football. I was in Vegas. I don't know why. The kid was hecka talkative, and maybe it is. California people are just dicks, and so I was nice back, obviously, but he's like, football Sunday. Oh, I was like, yeah, man, pretty cool to be back, and
they got
whatever.
The Raiders now?
Yeah, he's all stoked, and then I was like, we just chatted, and it's, I don't think I'm alone. It has been weird watching sports, or not as fun or not as enticing with no crowd. It's hard to watch. It was hard to watch basketball.
Basketball is probably the most affected, I think.
Yeah,
baseball, we hit a big bomb home run or something, you get the crowd going. But you don't really. Need it for
true.
that.
I think as a viewer, that's true. I think as a player, it's a totally different.
100. I think they're all affected as far as players go, but as far as viewers. But then football, now that the fans are back.
Yeah, it feels better. It really does.
It feels great.
Yeah, it was hard to watch football. It was hard to watch basketball with no one in the stands. Maybe it's just my eyes.
College football is just out of control.
It is. It is. But it's same with the Olympics. I watched a couple things, and there's like one president in the stands. You're like, all right, this kind of just feels weird.
Yeah.
Visually feels weird.
It did.
You could feel the energy through the TV. Yeah, and as an athlete, it probably sucked. Even though basketball players actually ended up playing a little bit better.
One of my favorite parts of the Bruce Untold was, or the Caitlyn Jenner Untold, but when the Bruce portion of it, when he was did that last jump.
Yeah.
That got me a little bit.
Got me
it
was
good.
good.
A little bit.
Yeah, his story's good.
Yes, dude.
Yeah, soundtrack's good.
If he misses that jump, it's over.
Some of the training, some of it's really good. As much as I actually didn't enjoy it because it was so sprinkled, you didn't feel like I didn't feel the hit of the Olympics. I didn't feel the hit of changing to Caitlyn. I didn't feel that. There's some little things like him training every day by himself.
Yeah, and then
you said the decathlon's big, right? Or it was bigger. It's still big going to the Olympics, but if it was a bigger deal, there, you don't have a coach.
It's not marketed.
Yeah, but you don't have a coach still? Weightlifting's not marketed. You got to have a coach.
Yeah.
He's just running around with a fucking fat golden retriever just,
Yeah, that dog was part of his life.
Yeah, it's cool.
And then the buddy who started training with him.
Rando.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, maybe in the past episode I talked about him underplaying his genetics. Maybe he was fucking average. If some random gym bro's like, hey, man, I want to go to the Olympics too, and then they just train and they both make it.
Did the other guy make it?
I thought that was the other guy in the interview, yeah. I think
the guy was in the interview, but I didn't know that he would.
Yeah, I think the interview was at the Olympics, and he said, "Oh, what do the placements look like?" And I said, "Oh, well, I think you have top 3 between us and him and the Russian."
Really? Because I thought that my memory was that the guy that he wanted to bring the guy with him.
Oh, maybe I'm wrong.
As a spectator.
Yeah, I thought that interview,
like the dog.
Maybe I thought that interview was at the Olympics, and they're saying, "What do you think it'll drop in?"
Well, they
as?"
focused on that other American guy that like hit the hurdles.
Yeah, maybe
Was
I'm
that-
wrong.
was
Maybe
that-
that was a totally different guy.
Yeah.
I think
and-
that might have been a different guy.
And then the Russian that he was.
Yeah, maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, maybe his training partner.
What
didn't
was his
make it.
name that he's like obsessed with him?
I know.
I have it here. I gotta.
Starts with an A.
Uh,
Avalon.
Yeah, something. It's
Avalov.
Yeah,
Avalov.
Yeah.
That's close.
Great name.
Closer than I thought.
There was so much footage of Bruce.
yeah, random stuff.
Do you ever think about that? You ever think about that? It's like, were people constantly filming back then?
It kind of looks like.
And how
it,
big's the
doesn't it?
camera when you're like they're filming
Well,
around?
they showed
the
his dad's
home-
camera. His
Yeah.
dad had like one of those, hand
Yeah,
film cameras.
Yeah, like a Super 8 kind of deal.
Yeah, Super 8.
but the footage of him going to the track, like from his apartment, jumping the fence and stuff, is pretty good footage.
No, it's great.
Yeah.
Like, who's
Yeah.
filming that?
I mean, maybe
Yeah.
it was like an ESPN type at the time, or a local news or national news, and they ripped that. I don't know.
But the stuff when he was a kid, like,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
like that's a commitment to home movies. You got to think that there's some chance that your kid's going to do something that's worthwhile.
I guess my
someday.
phone's
I don't
just
know.
covered in videos of Brock.
Right, but
Yeah.
that's
Like,
nowadays. That's not the
yeah.
70s. That's just you whipping out a fucking.
Yeah.
And then having
But-
to send the
but
film off to
maybe
get
is
it
the same
processed.
thing.
Yeah, maybe. I know we have some random shit for me at like Christmas and shit. So whenever I fucking do something
I got some
dope as
Christmas
hell,
stuff.
yeah, when I'm dope as hell, my mom will whip it out and sell it to Netflix.
But I think like our 90s, like when we were like, 4 and like 5 in the early
Yeah.
90s, like that was like kind of the end of the handheld video cameras around Christmas time. Kind of era.
I do think it was our era exactly was the transition of making things that were professional now take home. Like music,
Yeah.
video, tech in particular.
I have just a shit ton of video from family things that
Yeah.
needs to be converted to something, and like the conversion thing is a moving target. Like,
There's
what do
companies, I think the biggest right now is you send your VHS to a company and they digitally send it to your ass.
Yeah, you can just send even like film rolls now. And
Yeah.
it's easy to get
Yeah, it's
film
wild.
printed.
But for a while there, you wanted to put everything on DVD. Well, DVDs, like,
No,
I mean,
what do you put it on?
they still exist.
Yeah, I think
but
they just
like,
ship to you digitally. Yeah, USB. I just saw a random commercial for Black Widow, the new movie, coming to Blu-ray. I'm like, what?
Who's behind
Huh?
Blu-ray?
Now on Blu-ray, I said, where do I put it?
Does
my
it go
my
in-
computer don't have it.
Does it go into my remote?
yeah, well,
Xbox still probably does it. Does PS5 do it? PS5
Yeah.
probably
Yeah,
does,
it
but
does,
that's
it
still
does.
stupid. It's probably just so easy for them to make the PS5 play Blu-ray. They did it.
but most of those actually come with
Oh, so you can play
Yeah,
Gen-
digital download.
right.
But
What?
I think the main reason why they even put the Blu-ray players or whatever in those consoles is for like old gen games
Right.
that
Right.
you don't have downloaded that you don't want to rebuy.
Yeah, I don't.
But then they
get
still
it.
technically will play a Blu-ray.
No, they will.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't get. Does Blu-ray look better? I guess the one thing that does get annoying is if you don't have sick internet, you're streaming. You're gonna get a little spindle once a movie.
Yeah.
At my mom's, you're getting a spindle. And that's annoying.
Yeah.
So like, I understand Blu-ray kind of right. It's pretty flawless.
It's also like, hey man, what happens with one day the
Internet's out.
The internet's out. You
Who
gotta
was it?
watch
Or
something.
Brian Alzeru.
oh yeah.
Our buddy's like kind of doing some adventure camping, man, and he kind of lives in the middle of Maine, I think, maybe Maryland. I get them all mixed up. But he put on Instagram or something. He's like, it was like a VHS, and he's like, "This is what happens when you got no streaming." He's got no streaming, so he's just digging through random ass movies that he has lying around his house.
Hey,
stuff
That's
to watch.
funny.
they're saying that the VHSs might be like the next like baseball cards.
Or the vinyl, yeah, the
Yeah.
comeback.
Oh, I have a bunch of them.
I do too.
I got some good ones too.
Yeah, I'm
eBay, here we go, dude.
I'm ready
to get
for
rich.
that to happen
Same.
for sure.
Sell off, fuck
Same.
them.
I'm just
Um,
gonna go stock up.
But your point about sort of that last jump and then the last was what 400 meters, whatever was the last run, 1500
Yeah.
meters.
Where he smoked.
Yeah, what's that gap?
Oh no, that wasn't that.
No, I think it was the 1500 where he just went nuts. He said, well, all out. And
I think
he just
that was
fucking
the
goes ham.
400. That was the 400. He got second place in the 1500. That guy who won was like miles ahead.
Yeah,
Oh, maybe
But
right.
in the 400, he
just
smoked
burned him.
everybody.
yeah. It looked like the guy was ahead of him because he lapped him, but that's not what
Yeah,
it was.
Because he stopped.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, he slowed down a little bit.
But he has average genetics, so I don't know how that
Yeah,
happens.
exactly. That's how that works. But
Fastest motherfuckers on the entire planet.
His body type, like I keep saying, like, is like was very physique, like it was, that dude was ripped.
Shit technique, I'd imagine, and they say they were clean and jerking 300 pounds plus.
He's also throwing those stones like 50 feet.
Yeah. Just dumbbell pressing probably 70s, whatever, and he's not a lifter. Like, he's a fucking runner.
He probably weighed 185 pounds, and he was clean jerking 300 pounds.
Yeah, just fucking around.
I mean, maybe they just left out the fact that they were all taking shit. Like,
I don't know. That was like still kind of early-ish era for PEDs. Like, yeah, they were around, but they're not like.
I think they were very much around.
Really?
Yeah, I think that was I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
But sitting there, I'm thinking, okay, well,
for sure was because all those
how clean was
Bulgarians were taking him. For
how clean was he at the time that he did this? And I don't know the answer to that question.
I don't know either. I do feel that like steroids, even up until like 2010, were only known for strength, though.
Maybe.
You know what I mean?
I mean,
every basketball player would benefit. Every human would benefit performance-wise from PEDs. There's a substance out there for you, or even just more tests that will help. It won't hurt. But like no one takes them in the NBA.
Oh well, maybe that's.
You know what I mean? Because of the logic.
Dwight Howard, you seen those shoulders?
Some people take them, I'm sure, but what I'm saying is like it's not part of the culture. Like lifting weights wasn't part of the culture.
Yeah.
No one lifted weights until like 2000.
Yeah, I agree.
Where in football, everyone's probably high schoolers for every decade take shit, lift weight.
Yeah,
it's true.
So anyway, part of my compare and contrast essay here is that it's a little bit loose. That Bruce, Caitlyn, whatever, was just looking for the moment that they could stop. You know, stop training, stop being under the pressure to
in the beginning
and all that stuff, and it's really clear. Whereas
I don't know the story if it's true, but hindsight, Bruce does say, I was having all these feelings. Something wasn't right. I'm gonna go 4 years on the Olympics.
Right.
Like like hindsight again. Who knows in the moment? But hindsight, it was a total purposeful coping method.
Right.
I'm gonna go 4 years and just run my face off, lift my face off, so I don't have to feel like.
Well, then when it was over, he got into that dark, you said the darkest point of his life, a really dark depression where he was sneaking out, doing things that he didn't want to do behind closed doors.
Yeah.
And then like we were talking about a second ago where he was in the hotel lobby where that person came up to him.
Yeah, recognized
said something
him.
about I like transgender girls or
trans
something.
women. I like trans women.
She was there for a conference, right?
Yeah.
And he was like speaking as Bruce at the conference, but then was out as Caitlyn one night. And it was interesting.
So anyway, though, it's just such a contrast to me that's the thing that Kroc can't give up.
Right.
Now, not necessarily still competing, but I don't think Bruce kept running.
Yeah, I mean, he competed in bodybuilding, so like if Matt wanted to get down to 170 pounds and no muscle, he's got the mental and physical tools.
Right,
but didn't for a reason.
Yeah,
right. Where Caitlyn, that's why I kind of said like the surgeries were different, right? Like Caitlyn got boobies and no muscle.
Janae had a lot of face surgery, the vocal.
Sure. Vocals big because I don't think that's reversible.
No.
I don't see how they could.
Yeah.
I remember seeing Janae at the Arnold after that surgery in that 2 months when she wasn't supposed to be talking. She's like, I'm not supposed to be talking, but it's like
that's a lot of pain.
Yeah, that's
another. I even flinched there. They shoved like a metal looking thing down her throat.
Yeah.
Like sword thing. I had to get.
Where was that? Was that in
Japan,
the U.S.?
Korea?
I was gonna say that looked like it was outside of the U.S.
I know South Korea is the epicenter of
cosmetic.
Yeah, surgery in the world. I mean, that's.
Are they going to cut open your vocal cords in the U.S. for cosmetic surgery?
I don't know.
I bet you.
Question.
Money talks, so you could find a way.
You could get your Adam's apple shaved, but I don't know if you can get your voice changed.
I bet you they mess with it. But over there, they're known for it. Like their pop stars are literally like made in factories.
Yeah, that's true.
Like they literally take someone and just make them perfect.
Change their vocal cords.
Yeah,
looks,
turn them into
that's
Barbie and
insanity
Ken.
because I know it's true.
No, it is. Yeah, they have the most advanced and most popular plastic surgery on the planet, I believe.
That's craziness. I did not realize that.
Yeah, it's a thing.
Like the K-pop scene.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a thing.
Well, the K-pop scene, I've even heard like on like some dark K-pop stuff because like a lot of people think like K-pop's like really like what it's used for is like basically like political brainwashing. Like, in a weird way.
Yeah.
Like they go through the K-pop stuff with like, okay, you got to sing about these type of things, this type of stuff, and kind of mold the youth through this K-pop tool.
I think it's very manufactured, kind of like a Justin Bieber type thing. They'll catch you at 13, and if you have something about you, and then
but then they'll turn that up to like a 10.
Yeah, they breed you.
Yeah, interesting.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so I imagine it's South Korea as well, although I don't know.
Yeah, that's
because Japan too. I mean, they're obviously very advanced. They might do some vocal surgery there for some reason. I don't know.
Something that we haven't said so far that we should say is that Janae is the nicest person you could ever possibly meet.
I actually never met Matt.
Oh, you never met Matt? Okay.
But maybe a handshake at an expo. Never hung out with.
Yeah.
But then obviously we did lunch and whatever, lifted and shit with Janae was a little different.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I never hung out with Matt, I don't think. Because, again, in 2014, his like competitive career was over.
Yeah.
You know?
I remember seeing Matt, lift in the WPO.
Right. So, yeah. See, that was when I was watching, but that was probably 2000. Obviously, competed mid 2000s too, but like 2010, 11, 12-ish. And then he kind of.
No, I think it was earlier than that.
Yeah, that's when I was reading shit. That's when I was reading magazines, 2008, 2009, whatever.
Yeah, the first Arnold that I went to was like 2004.
Yeah,
and then
you
the
really saw a change
WPO
then.
went away,
right,
because of financial issues, and so there was no platform like that anymore. And
what was the big stage of powerlifting in like 2014?
WPO.
Okay.
Yeah, World Powerlifting. They had like fucking all the big West Side guys and all the geared lifting and fireworks and fucking
Where would that
a little
be
bit of
hosted?
money.
Where would that be hosted?
Arnold,
at?
Ohio.
Oh, it was at the Arnold.
Yeah, at the Arnold.
And then even now, or at least semi-recently, was run the same weekend down the street from the Arnold.
Yeah, because
they got booted basically.
Well, this is a whole other podcast, but
yeah,
I mean, what's going to happen with strongman at the Arnold now?
What's going to happen with any of it?
Shaw's got his own league now, right?
Any of it, yeah. And then the USAPL, it got booted from the IPF, and so who's going to compete there? WPO and geared lifting's dying by the day. Like there's,
I didn't even think anybody still did gear lifting.
Even weightlifting, right? Because this Arnold thing is such a big political thing recently.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like,
yeah,
that's why
but I mean, a bunch of weightlifters may say no, a bunch of bodybuilders may say no. Who knows people's political belief or where their line stands, career versus, what they believe in or don't believe in, and so and the Arnold and all these expos was already on a decline, arguably, in terms of popularity.
I really feel like the Olympia was. I don't know.
Yeah, the Arnold is pretty special because of the competitions.
Yeah,
there's so many other. There's just everything there.
And the best. Where the Olympia had some stuff, they had a powerlifting meet, and it was like, okay, right? Yeah, that's even in the movie too. Kroc kind of asked like, oh, are the big names competing today? Because it used to, even in the USAPL or whatever, a lot of invite only, a lot of elite stuff.
The room where they had the WPO, the escalators that come down.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, just to the left, that's that big ballroom.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
next to like the weightlifting.
And it was.
They had the weightlifting in there recently.
Oh, did
it was totally packed.
Yeah.
Like it was hard to walk around in there.
Yeah, they moved the weightlifting into there. One of the stages, at least, was in that room. If you go, well, no, it's because you got say you're looking at the escalators. You got the bathrooms to your left.
Yeah.
And then that room to the right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where they moved the weightlifting. Yeah, recently.
Makes sense.
Yeah, it was full. It was crazy. It was loud. I mean,
there's boxing in there not that long ago too.
Well, really?
Yeah.
Probably drew a crowd too. I mean, everything. You walk by and people are doing yo-yo contests, and there's 300 people watching them.
The Star Wars show.
Yeah, there's Star Wars.
Yeah,
fucking lightsaber fights.
Lightsaber fights.
Yeah, the Arnold's crazy.
I miss the Arnold.
No, it's cool.
I miss seeing you guys there.
The Arnold was cool. Arnold was cool.
We're
times.
right here, dude. We're right here.
It does have different energy.
That's true.
There's something about
we're out and about. It's cold as shit.
I get like that when I know I'm somewhere. I already I'm not diagnosably, but like split personality guy, right? Like obviously just with the nickname, like I really do have two huge parts of who I am, but I love being at stuff like that, or I reference it to like Disneyland or something, where everyone's there for a good time, so you can kind of fuck around a little more. You can like take a random and I can joke with them. We're like, maybe he's growing up in California, like you ain't doing it at the grocery store. You got to really time that, or a dude's gonna give you a dirty look. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there, some guy's buying a hot dog or something. I can make like a fitness joke, and they're gonna laugh it off with me, whether they know my content or not.
Yeah.
You're at the grocery store and dude's grabbing cookies. You make a joke.
You're not that guy, pal.
Yeah, you're gonna get punched.
You're not that guy.
Yeah, you're gonna get punched. But I love being in that environment where I feel like I can't fail.
Yeah, You can do bits.
It's way easier at the booth, obviously. Like if I'm working and people are coming to like say what's up, I could go all day.
Well, day 3 or 4 though, you just start getting delirious because you're on your feet all day. You just start saying shit to people.
Empty stomach caffeine for 20 hours. I love that though. In a way.
That's when you're just like start doing own puns, inside jokes to people, and they're just like, what?
Yeah. I really do enjoy that. Yeah, it's been a long time.
I remember what. Yeah. Anyways, I would love to just do an Arnold reminisce on the Arnold podcast.
Yeah, we could.
We can do that.
You do wonder, because our convention center just got pimped out. If we're gonna have some stuff, we had anime last weekend. It looked like it was popping.
I regret not going.
I would have gone just to see it popping.
I've been to Dragon Con at the down here. No, I'm sorry, not Dragon. Wizard Con.
Oh yeah,
Wizard Con.
We I think Halloween time we have a Harry Potter bar crawl.
Oh, I think that you're right. Yeah.
Dude, I'm down.
Yeah, WizardCon was dope. I got what's his name's signature. I paid like $20 for it. The guy from Napoleon Dynamite.
Oh, yeah.
I don't even know his real name. I was like, it was a Napoleon Dynamite. I got a picture and like he had signed one of the autographs on like, one of the cards. It was like $20. Yeah. The lady that was I know we're totally off the rails now. Sorry. The lady that was like his like little like guard person, right? Was like I had like my phone out and she was like on it. No pictures. $20. I'm just like
that's the Lou Ferrigno.
Texting somebody.
Yeah, chill.
That's the Lou Ferrigno situation too.
That was the joke
at the Arnold.
The truth turned into a joke.
Yeah,
because like the Arnold was known for just meeting people you follow or whatever, but then Ferrigno supposedly was just harsh as shit and charging money, and everyone was a little bitter. Yeah,
like cash, like you got $5.
Yeah.
All right,
20.
I mean, it makes sense.
$20.
He was on TV.
Yeah.
He's always at the. He was actually at that Wizard Con.
Oh, yeah. Just hulked out.
The Hulk. Yeah.
I was with Ed Cohn when I actually got close enough to
weaseled in a little bit.
Yeah,
it's all you know.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that was actually kind of an interesting point because he's like, "Oh, Eddie," so he knew him, and it's like, "Oh, wow."
Yeah, eras almost crossed.
Yeah, and I think maybe that there's some of that with Jenner too. A lot of people knew those
for sure.
A lot of people in that echelon of sports celebrity knew each other.
Well, and then the Kardashians turned them into the biggest celebrities on the planet.
Yeah. So back to my earlier point about Kroc not wanting to give things up. I wonder to what extent, like every athlete that really excels has to have the genetics, but they also have to be driven by something internally or they just wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
And my question is...
they got to love what they're doing.
To what extent the transgender identity issues drove both of these people to do what they did.
I do think that was the main tie between the movies.
What was the son's name? Jenner's son?
Bert,
he made that point.
Yeah, he said.
Interview.
Yeah, he said without Caitlyn, my dad wouldn't have been an Olympian.
Yeah.
I do agree, and that was like obviously what made these movies the same movie.
Yeah,
is like that tie. But what's interesting to me, and maybe this is because I'm biased for like football, basketball, and some other sports, is like even how Jenner spoke, it was like kind of played sports growing up. Okay at football, got a D3 scholarship. D3 back in the day wasn't shit. Like now it's pretty competitive, but you know what I mean? And then like got injured and then like kind of did track for 4 years and then was done.
How do you go from a knee injury like, I think track's the best idea?
I guess because you're running straight rather than cutting, but
true.
Or maybe you just sucked at football and they didn't want to say it that way, right? Because the track coach's quote was like, oh, you're going to do great over here. I think you'd be better. But I guess my point is the love for the sport or the drive isn't as long as basketball. Even in 1990, you're playing for 40 years. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So that actually comes back around to the point about Jenner being calculating.
Yeah, maybe.
Because I think that it's like how much of it was a love for the decathlon.
You only did one Olympics?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
How much of it was a calculation thinking I can beat this guy and win.
Yeah, why you're not defending your title?
In the same way that like being involved with the Kardashian show was, oh well, I can raise my profile.
Yeah, maybe
if I'm involved in this. And this Untold documentary.
Yeah. And I'm not against
it. Like, how do I raise my profile?
I love a little attention seeking. I got it. Like it's in there, but I guess for like the drive of this internal issue, Kroc seems to have a lot more longevity, even into the end of the documentary. He's torn.
Yeah.
right?
Oh, I get what you're saying. Yeah,
you know what I mean? And lifting. He talked about getting into bench press in like teens and like getting into powerlifting. There's a really old footage of him benching 365. You know, like that was a long-term hobby or love. And again, to my point of like basketball or something, like you don't just like at 18 say I'm going to kind of play basketball, play for 3 years, get to the NBA and quit. Like that's literally impossible.
Yeah.
But you're right. Maybe during the decathlon times that was kind of possible. Not that he didn't train hard and not that he wasn't a good athlete, but it seems like Bruce had a 6-year career. Trained two-ish, 3-ish years, hopped in the Olympics.
Yeah. It seems like what we see now is a lot of people trying to do multiple Olympics. They do have a big Olympics and like, okay, well, I'm gonna do another 4 years.
The
and see if I can get back there.
The ages seem weird. We talked about it a little bit in Athlete A or whatever when we did the documentary, but like I remember being younger, watching the London or whatever, like the Rio Olympics, and like all the gymnasts are like 17, 16, 15, and then this one they're all like 24. And I never remember gymnasts being 24.
Yeah, they used to always be pretty young,
right?
Yeah.
And then like even other sports like Usain Bolt, we covered that too, and he did multiple Olympics. Yeah, I think you're right. Like, sure, some is maybe modern
3,
science.
Right?
Yeah, I think he did 3. Yeah. Phelps.
That seems to be like the top you can do. Because
that's a lot, dude. 12 years. I mean, maybe skeet shooting or something. You could you could stretch it out, because your body and mind can
not
can
the
hang.
Not the 100.
Dude, even that 3
or
seems a lot. Or
gymnastics where you're just constantly injured.
12-year career. I mean, I guess maybe, right? Because you could be at the top of the NBA for 12-ish years, but basketball is a little bit different because it's not just like pure body. You know what I mean? You slow down, you stop dunking as much, you get a little bit of strategy about it. You can't really strategize.
Yeah, you can be there for just passing.
You can't strategize the 100,
There's also, I think, more financial support for some athletes in some sports that are Olympic sports now,
which would make
used to be before.
Right, but you would think that him doing more Olympics would only be better then.
You would think,
right?
Yeah.
Like you got on the Wheaties box, is like, well, I'm going to do one more, see if I can get on the fucking New York Times every day, right?
I think that comes back to what you were saying earlier, though, because he got so much play post Olympics.
Yeah, just ran with it.
He was like, you know what? Like I'm good.
True.
I got the I got the fame, or I got this like elevated lifestyle from this thing that I'm like kind of don't want to do anymore. Because he even says, himself at the time that what it took for me to like get here day after day, like I don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah, that is true. I've gotten this argument with tons of people, and maybe because I'm friends with professional athletes or took my career so fucking serious in basketball that I have a different perspective. But a lot of people talk like that, like, well, why wouldn't you just like quit? Like LeBron doesn't need the money. Like, like, oh, he made
Michael Jordan.
Yeah, he made $50 million in his first year. He got that sneaker deal, and now he's in movies. Why wouldn't he just retire? Like, these motherfuckers that are the best are wired so different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
LeBron, the Kobe's at midnight shooting hoops with a broken leg.
If you're 30 years old and you take Kobe and you say like, yeah, man, we're not going to pay you and you can play in the NBA, or we're going to give you $50 million, you got to retire right now. That fool is playing for free. Like he wants to win championships. He wants to prove himself. Like it's so different. Like maybe as a kid, what first kind of got you in there is that glam. Like, yeah, man, I want to be on ESPN. The money sounds cool. But like to train like they do for, again, 30 years from age 12 to 40, they're wired a little different, and maybe Caitlyn wasn't. Maybe it was so calculated or so like short-lived that they saw that opportunity for movies. They saw the opportunity and hit their goal. Right? They got the gold. Mm-hmm. Like it's not like Caitlyn didn't or Bruce didn't hit it, and maybe they're just like, yeah, I have no problem swinging it up. Or even Usain, who we had this similar conversation, kind of said like, I don't like running. I want to go party, but I want to be that special.
Right.
Stretched it to 12 years. You know what I mean? The drive maybe is very different. And that's maybe where Caitlyn or Bruce is below average.
Well, you look back at Bruce, right? And you look at his lifestyle before even the Olympics. He was bouncing around everything.
Yeah.
Basketball, football, racing.
True.
Like it was just probably the next thing in his path.
Yeah.
Just wanted to do it and then move on to the next thing, just like he's been doing his whole life.
What I find is
at the time,
people like that probably, again, counter to his, and I keep kind of ragging on him because he said he was below average, and my argument is you can't win a gold medal being below average genetics. Maybe the counter to that is that he was actually just good at track and field. Didn't like it at all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then it's easy to get a gold. If you guys right now say like, damn, Mike, we go shooting or something, you're like, man, you really got an eye for the skeet shooting. I'm like, all right, I'll take a run at the Olympics, but I ain't going to do that for 40 years.
Yeah.
But if you think I'm that damn good, gold medal sounds cool, and maybe I'll just kind of, And maybe that was more the situation too.
Yeah, I think there was something about being called the world's greatest athlete for a period of time too.
And they build that up a little bit in the movie.
Well, now that's the CrossFitter, right?
That's world's fittest. No, that's fittest.
Yeah.
And they, I think, particularly took that name because of the decathlon.
Yeah.
The best athlete versus fittest athlete.
What
or fittest man?
What do you think is considered the best athlete in the
Maybe
world?
the decathlon.
A triathlon?
I think if they go something a little bit more physical with the decathlon, and they'll throw in like a Greco wrestling, then I'm going there.
So there's this new thing called Hyrex.
What's Hyrex?
I don't know anything about
sign
this.
me up.
Basically, it's kind of coming up. They were kind of gaining some steam during pre-COVID. COVID hit, kind of fucked everybody up a little bit. Now they're building back up. Sam Briggs is involved.
Okay.
Some other CrossFitters have been involved. It's basically think CrossFit without the barbell work. Lots of
like kettlebelly,
skiing, sandbags, rowing, broad jump, burpees.
Yeah, maybe a little military-ish boot camping.
Lots of sled stuff.
Yeah.
Basically, CrossFit with a lot of wall balls. CrossFit kind of without a barbell. It's blowing. It's kind of blowing up.
Yeah.
Like Puma's involved. Red Bull's like the title sponsor. Puma's the title sponsor. Like it's got a good aesthetic to it. Like check out their Instagram. It's interesting. I'm kind of like keeping my eye on it.
I actually thought the Grid League was a decent idea, and we interviewed that guy when it first popped out.
And then it got like totally Florida-fied.
Yeah.
And now it's
it's literally like a local community meet. It's a YMCA.
It looks like the most Florida thing ever now.
But I thought the general idea was cool.
I do too, and I have a lot of friends that were really good friends that competed in it and did it. And
because it was like the less freaky strongman. It's a lot of sprints, a lot of like ladders, but you're not 6'8", 800 pounds.
But then you had like Klokov came in.
Yeah, I like that. It was like the Avengers.
Rob Blackwell.
Yeah, I like that. I love that.
I saw Klokov actually do it in San Jose.
Really?
I think honestly,
I think I went to that fitness festival.
Yeah.
I went to that too.
I think honestly the best athlete isn't doing any of this stuff, and that's again maybe my bias, but this one I truly do believe in. He's probably in the NBA or NFL. I've said it for a long time. Like if Reggie Bush found the barbell and never had a football, that dude's squatting way more.
What
than all
about
of us.
like Deion Sanders that played like both sports?
That's what I mean. Yeah, maybe. But
Bo Jackson.
I think we could look up the real definition of athleticism, but to me, it's like speed, jumping, strength, durability, agility, change of speed, et cetera, et cetera. And that dude's probably a running back or DB, or probably like a shooting guard. Then I mean, it'd be a real hard argument that if you take 15-year-old LeBron and choose any sport, that he's not going to be pretty fucking good.
Well, you think about it in terms of musical talent, like people who can play, one instrument and have talent behind it. They just didn't take, lessons forever. They can play a lot of instruments because they understand how music works, and they may not be great at all of them, but they can be passable at a lot of them.
Yeah, or you're
really
Prince,
good at some,
and you're really good at all of them.
Yeah, or you're Prince and you're really good at all of them. Yeah. And you stay away from fentanyl. Anyway, you're when you have a really high level athlete, they try other sports and they're good at them.
Yeah.
I mean, just like maybe not professional level, but good.
Yeah,
there's a lot of baseball players and to a certain extent football players, but baseball players that are really good at golf.
Right. No, basketball as well. Yeah, a lot of basketball guys just naturally studs at golf. I talk about it in terms of strength and conditioning a lot in coaching, but like every sport you can throw on a scale of like base level fitness you need, and then also skill to athleticism, right? So the most skilled, for argument's sake, is golf, right? You need some athleticism per se, but you're not running, jumping, you're not changing agility.
Skill.
But it's a very high skill. Or one below that might be baseball. You can be overweight in both of those and be the baddest motherfucker on the planet.
Skill, hand-eye coordination,
right?
skill,
and then from down.
Like athleticism, because it's not,
I think coordination's I think if you go athleticism, it's a combo of all those. You need hand-eye coordination, but you also need the speed, the jumping ability, the agility. And in these sports in particular, not saying the people that play these sports, but the sport by definition you don't. Right? Yeah. The sport by definition, you could play first base, and if you hypothetically you're the best and all you do is hit homers, doesn't matter how fast you are. Literally doesn't matter, right?
Yeah.
Same with golf. But then you work your way down, and then it's like basketball, soccer are probably the fairest medium, where you have to be crazy agile. You have to be able to run really fucking fast.
Strong.
And you have to be strong enough, and you need all these skills like pass, defense, IQ, all that. And then on the opposite end, depending on position, and that's why they literally say skill position in the NFL, quarterback, receiver, whatever. But you're probably just a bad motherfucker, right? Like DBs are just fast, not that they have no brains, but like because they have to read plays and read people. But you're just really fast, really strong.
It's always been my favorite position. I think in football is like a DB.
Yeah, they're insane.
It's just
they're freak athletes.
It's so dope watching that. Yeah.
Yeah, and then that's where it's hard to compare to something like CrossFit.
Yeah, it's true.
You know what I mean? Because it would be really hard to say no knock on Rich Froning, who's an absolute freak, but you take, I think he played D3 football.
Baseball.
Yeah, you take any running back in the NFL at age 18, let him do CrossFit for 3 years. It's probably gonna be tough. It's probably gonna be real tough.
I know Jason Kleepa, but did anybody see him throw that softball at the games?
Yeah.
Remember that?
No, but did he whip it?
Just go ahead and find that out.
Sorry, Jason.
Shout out Jason. Jason's a great guy. Cool.
Yeah, but didn't have the baseball on him.
But then, because the whole thing was like at that time in CrossFit, it was like the Jason Kleepa versus Rich Froning kind of era.
Yeah.
And Froning was like
a baseball player,
so he was just hucking this thing down the.
Yeah.
And then Jason comes to throw it. Also, like that was an event at the CrossFit Games at one point.
Right.
Was a softball throw.
That's been my critique and everything on CrossFit for a very long time, is that if the events are random, how can you really test for anything? Like that's literally the argument against scientific method. If we're testing who's the best at, then we need to control the variables at. Like that's literally science. And so like to test who's the fittest in the world, and all of a sudden you got someone throwing a baseball
unannounced.
Yeah.
I think the freakiest thing going on in sports right now is Shohei Ohtani, who is
a freako.
Yeah, like tremendous pitcher and hitter, and he plays in the fucking American League. Like, why are you in the American League?
Stuff in baseball like that
is
cool.
40 home runs.
How tall is he too? Is he big?
I don't know. But
I'm not sure.
Ken Griffey Jr. is like one of my best arguments, and I'm not a baseball fan by any means, but that dude's doing 360 dunks at 6'4", and he's running up walls like Spider-Man in baseball, hitting like a motherfucker. Like he's another one. I don't think he did, but he could have easily played football. Russ Wilson supposedly another one. I think he might have even played baseball at Stanford.
You're right. No, he did. He
played both.
He had full
right?
rides for both.
Yeah,
I think he could have had a full ride for either.
6'4".
6'4".
Yeah, so
he tried out for I think he tried out for the Yankees.
Yeah, he probably did.
Russell Wilson.
And he probably had a shot.
Some shit like that.
Yeah, I mean, this dude's probably just Ken Griffey-esque. What's his body weight? Yeah, 203. I mean, that's Ken Griffey.
6'4", 203, 27 years old. So he's going to be doing this for a while. Yeah, probably.
Just for fun, check out CC Sabathia's like stats as far as like height to weight.
Oh, yeah.
It'll blow your mind.
He just got jacked right now, though. You seen him?
Oh yeah, he's doing like some podcasting.
Yeah, he lost some weight. He got a little jacked on him.
6'6".
What did he weigh when he played? He had 300.
300.
That's a thick boy.
From Vallejo, not very far from here.
Yeah.
He got fat. He also had a serious alcohol problem. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I know he's pretty jacked right now, though.
6'6", 300. Remember?
You seen Mike Bibby lately?
Oh,
yeah.
Swole Bibby. Or are you talking about?
Yeah.
He's on all the TRT.
Yeah. I love
it. He's like clearing the clinic shelves.
There he is, Jack.
Imagine staring down a 6'6", 300-pound CC on the mound.
Yeah.
When you're trying to like hit a ball from 90 feet away.
Yeah, he's throwing Mario fireballs at you.
I've heard him on other podcasts, not other than his own, and he's like very articulate. Very. He's been through a bunch, man.
And he's huge with the kids, especially when they played in like Oakland or when they would play in his hometown in Oakland.
Yeah.
He would have the kids because the Yankees play Oakland all the time. So when they would come to those games, he would have all these kids come out from like the local high schools, and he would give them like they would be on the field with him, and even though they'd probably be A's fans.
But they
rep
the Bay.
He always repped the Bay like hardcore, and he would come out and give like the kids like his glove, like game used stuff, and like
that stuff's dope.
Really good with the kids, like. It was really cool to like see him do that.
Yeah, he's made some significant changes. I think if he would. I don't think he would ever have stopped pitching if he had
been jacked.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'd probably still be throwing.
Yeah, he was an amazing talent.
He's one of those God-given talents. So that guy wasn't hitting the weights.
Yeah.
To throw 95.
Yeah, that's my point.
Yeah.
Like, not that he didn't work out at all, but you're telling me that dude, there's nobody in baseball that worked harder than him that never made it? Come on.
Yeah, the mechanics. I actually have been listening to this podcast called Crushed about basically about the steroid era.
Yeah.
And
which was an awesome era.
That's the only era of baseball I watched.
It's so fun.
Yeah.
Well, the issue, this goes back to the genetics. They make the point that what it really did is it made the people who were genetically gifted in that range better, in that 5 to 10% range better. But it made a lot of people who were never going to make a career in Major League Baseball.
Viable.
Yeah.
I mean, genetics of steroids is a thing too, like your receptors and how you accept them. So you could already be the best, take a bunch of shit and get nothing.
Yeah.
We've seen lifters, right? They pull 700, take a bunch of shit, and they pull 720. And then you hear some guys like, wow, you look like a different human, and all of a sudden now you're repping 900 pounds. Like, what the fuck happened, right? Same thing goes with these sports. And then if you don't have the skill component, like a sport like baseball, or you're okay, going nowhere.
Yeah, steroids aren't going to help you make contact with the ball coming at you 98 miles an hour. Like, that's like, I think my whole argument with like the Barry Bonds shit.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, yeah, like it definitely helped, okay, for sure. But that motherfucker was so good at finding the ball with the bat.
Yeah.
You do wonder.
Still the best at that.
You do wonder the mentality of someone like that, who is really fucking good. Like, why are you looking for that?
What are you looking for?
The home run record, single season?
Steroids.
Oh. I think it was.
You know what I mean?
This seems to say that looking at the home run race between McGuire and Sosa, and I think there's a little bit of jealousy, a little bit of like, I guess I'm better than that.
And I understand
if I was doing what you were doing, I would be better than you, and it was.
Yeah, and that's a Lance Armstrong thing. He said everyone was taking, so I took. Like, I get it, but
and it came apparently from his trainer. You know,
Balco. One of the first like books I read was that Balco book.
Yeah, I met him.
Yeah.
No, it was an interesting experience. He's got a lot of behind the scenes information on
everyone.
Wow.
Everyone. Life and everyone, yeah.
Wow. I believe it.
Yeah. Final thoughts on this?
I wish it dug a little harder. I actually think that, the scenes with Kroc and his dad were good, but it could have dug. The
I
scene
think they were trying to be careful.
Yeah, the scene was so good.
That was sad. Actually.
It was. The scene is so good and raw and authentic, but like the movie doesn't make it. It doesn't feel like a movie. It feels like it feels like a clip. I don't know. It just wasn't in there.
It felt awkward as shit.
It did, which is good. I just wish there was kind of more of that, I guess, in a sense.
Yeah.
There were pieces of the Kroc video that feel like a reality show.
Yeah, and that part felt good, but I almost want more of that. And then in the Untold one, there's like none of that.
Yeah.
Like
very polished, like interview style with old footage.
And Caitlyn's stuff was all like happy-go-lucky kind of.
Yeah.
But they talked a little bit of the internal monologue of his life.
Well, he didn't talk about any of the negative stuff with his family that
or
this
recent.
caused.
Yeah, he just said like, "Oh, I don't talk to my daughters," and that was like that. Like they don't build that up emotionally, and obviously it's probably hard because although Caitlyn and Bruce have been in the spotlight forever, they're still human. To express that on like a therapeutic level to a camera crew is difficult to be so real, and that's why reality TV sucks because it's not real, right? So like he's an actor at this point, or she's an actor, and so it is performative. Where Kroc is not an actor, and so that feels a little bit more raw.
I think that they're at different places with it too,
for sure.
Because Caitlyn is older and is further along, and maybe.
Their cases might just be different.
At a point of acceptance, at a point of acceptance with herself. Whereas Janae, and the point of at the point that this documentary was done, still very much in it.
Yeah.
And even though there's a pronouncement, it's like, oh, Matt's gone. And Matt's not gone. I mean, I've followed Janae on social media, and sometimes I see a male presentation and sometimes I see a female presentation. She's a gender fluid, and it always, bouncing back and forth between, depending on the situation. A thing that I noticed was that when they went in to do the vocal surgery on Janae, that she went in
bald
with the wig.
Oh, I didn't notice.
Yeah, went in with the wig, and they were like adjusting it to keep it. It would be so much easier to say, okay, I'll just gonna I will take this off. But I think that there had to be something powerful about waking up to being a different person. Try to keep I don't know that for a lot of people who are in this situation that there is a absolute final solution that never feels a little bit in the middle.
Yeah, I mean, I've watched a couple other documentaries or like mini shows, and it's not like you have like even the lower surgery, and all of a sudden you feel great.
This is purely observational.
Right. What the hell do we know? Yeah.
We don't have their lived experience, but observationally, it looks like for a lot of folks, there's still.
But I think that's true of any human.
Yeah.
And that's what I found interesting in Croc. They're like, they brought up therapy for a second. They're like, oh yeah, I kind of did that. And I'm like, there's no like did therapy. You don't graduate from therapy class. You know, and like that's if you have a very simple life or a very complicated life. And obviously their lives are a little bit more complicated in some instances, but like that never stops because our perception of the world and ourselves never stops from changing. We're always changing. So like therapy or growth or whatever the hell you want to call it, the work, whatever buzzwords out there for people trying to get better, never stops.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to address a comment right now in the chat. No, we are not defending dudes competing in women's sports or what.
Yeah, good one, dude.
We're not.
Good take.
If you were listening.
Hot take from the chat.
Yeah, if you were listening,
that's
you'll know
exactly
that we're
what
not
we said.
We're talking about.
Yeah, that was the whole topic.
I don't think
of this
we
whole
actually
thing. Mentioned it once.
That was the first time that it's even been brought up.
No, that was a good take. Thanks, dude.
Yeah, we weren't.
Thanks for contributing.
I mean, I talked about the fact that Janae competed as a man.
Yeah, in jiu-jitsu.
Against other men and won. Huge surprise. And told us at the time I would never compete in powerlifting again as as a woman.
And Pseudo says it in the movie.
Yeah.
Someone randomly asks in the crowd, "Are you going to compete?" And just kind of says, "I'm not competing."
Yeah.
Yeah. In anything.
Yeah.
That was a great take, though. Thanks, chat.
Yeah.
Thanks for hanging out today.
Other thoughts, other closing thoughts. I think you guys both kind of nailed it with that. I mean, I think it was I think my biggest takeaway was I think I did want a little bit more of the family life dynamic.
Yeah.
Probably from both, but maybe more from the Caitlyn Jenner one, because that's a real thing. I think that a lot, or at least that you hear and see, like struggle with, is like doing these things because of the people around them, and just maybe it would have been more useful for somebody maybe going through these struggles, just something to look onto, like, oh look, their family eventually accepted them, or something like that. I don't know. It's maybe a little bit more out of that.
Maybe their kids were. That's what I thought while I was watching. I was like, maybe the Kardashians are too high profile. They won't even do an interview, which sucks.
Which is 100% true.
Yeah, but it's probably the
which
truth.
is why we got
his XX.
What was that guy's name?
Bert.
that really, no one even knew existed.
That is kind of sad, actually. That's probably the saddest part of the whole thing.
No
one's ever heard of Bert, and he's like in a couch in the basement.
Yeah, with his goats.
Yeah,
I thought he was on a farm. But
I don't know, but like it just didn't look like the normal interview set. It wasn't out of. I mean, the Kardashians are sitting in billion-dollar mansions, and Bert's on a seat somewhere in the dark.
Brody's got a nice house.
Yeah, I'm sure they're crushing it. And then even the family's so much, right? Because like we just Googled and you found out he had a middle wife and other kids.
Yeah,
like just talk to them a little bit. I agree.
There was like so selective with like the lifestyle side of this whole thing, which is like seems to be a pretty big important part of it.
Yeah. No, which is it.
Yeah, you would think for sure. Croc's kids could not have been sweeter. They were like
the Croc documentary was full of that.
Yeah, even his mom.
Yeah,
they crept the mom in.
She wasn't happy, but she was also not angry.
Yeah, it was also a little awkward.
That the dad was just kind of angry.
What I do like is that they both felt real.
Yeah,
it wasn't like
the mom wasn't scripted, dad wasn't scripted.
That's true.
Yeah, and that's all I guess you can ask for at the end of the day.
And
that's
kind of more what I wanted out of the Caitlyn Jenner one.
Agreed.
I agree.
Alrighty.
Next Wednesday.
Well, this has been fun.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, appreciate you. 3sb.co. I'm Silent Mike. And hopefully some more content heading your way. We're throwing around ideas of some things to do. Where can they find you, Dean?
DeanSidoris.ck at Caffeine and Kilos.
I am at the Jim McD on all the social medias. The show is 50% facts, where percent is a word. And I would like to call out the fact that Mike and I started our podcasting careers in this room 8 years ago.
In this corner.
This week.
I was sitting on the couch right here.
Yep.
Wow, it's Caffeine and Kilos.
8th
anniversary. 8th anniversary birthdays today.
Happy birthday,
what
Caffeine
the hell,
Kilos.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, because our first episode dropped on the 17th of September 2013.
That is wild.
Yeah. Isn't that weird?
Both 8 years then? I don't think I knew you. You were probably floating around here, but I don't know if I knew you.
I was floating around here. Yeah, I wasn't we weren't like buddies.
I didn't really talk
Did
to
you go to the first invitational?
No, I went to the second, I think.
14?
Yeah.
Yeah, 13 was at McClellan Air Force.
Yeah.
I think 2 of them in a row were at McClellan, but yeah.
Yeah, I remember hearing about it after the fact.
Yeah.
And Charlie was around here before then.
Mm-hmm.
Floating. That's the only
that's
one
how
of you
I got
that I
over
knew.
here too.
Yeah.
And then years later, I discovered that I knew Danny's family, but I didn't know Danny.
That's right.
All right. Well, we'll be back sometime next week with another show, and thanks for joining us.